The sound of leaves crunching underfoot echoed through the still air as Nathan Frost, a dedicated ranger of the Wyoming wilderness, paused to catch his breath. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the abandoned campgrounds. It was a place he passed dozens of times in his patrols, but today felt different. A flicker caught his eye, a brief glimmer that seemed out of place amidst the decay. He stepped closer, drawn by an instinct he couldn't quite name. Before him stood a tattered tent, its fabric fluttering like a ghost in the breeze. Nathan hesitated, recalling the stories that surrounded this campsite, stories of laughter and adventure turned to silence. The whispers of the townsfolk echoed in his mind, tales of joy that had turned into despair when young Tommy Hayes vanished 2 decades earlier. Pushing aside the frayed fabric, he peered inside. The dim light revealed a disarray of old gear, scattered like forgotten memories, but it was a shoebox half buried beneath the debris that caught his attention. Its corners were worn but sturdy, a mute testament to the secrets it held. Slowly, Nathan knelt down and brushed off the dust, feeling a mixture of anticipation and dread. He opened the box and found a collection of maps, sketches of trails, and crumpled drawings, all meticulously preserved. At the bottom of the box, a map stirred something deep within him. It bore not just the trails he knew, but the name that had haunted the town for years, Tommy Hayes. The whole state had been gripped by the search, his name a somber echo in the hearts of those who remembered. As the weeks turned into months, hope had faded into the mountains, leaving behind a community fractured by loss. Now here it lay in front of Nathan, a chilling reminder of a tragic past that had touched the lives of so many. Nathan stepped back, heart racing. The wind rustled the trees above him, carrying the weight of his discovery. Authorities had to know. Yet, as he contemplated his next move, the burden of this moment settled on him, heavy and suffocating. He remembered the summer he had spent as a teenager, searching alongside volunteers, his heart heavy with the loss of a child he had never known. The thought of reopening old wounds made him hesitate. The sheriff, quick to investigate, would likely find nothing more than a treasure trove of forgotten memories left behind by someone who had known the boy, or perhaps had been searching for him all along. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, mirroring the turmoil inside Nathan's chest. He clutched the papers in his hands, feeling their fragile weight like a lifeline to the past. "I don't know if I'm digging into the ground or into myself," he thought as the lines on the map pulled at him, tempting him to unravel the threads of a mystery he had thought long settled. The flicker he had seen earlier felt like a beacon, guiding him forward into the unknown, and as Nathan lingered at the edge of those forgotten trails, he knew this was only the beginning. The morning sun spilled golden light over the small town of Jackson Hole, illuminating the quaint wooden buildings that formed its heart. Nathan Frost parked his truck outside the local diner, a familiar spot where the aroma of coffee and sizzling bacon wafted through the air, blending with the crisp scent of pine from the surrounding wilderness. He stepped inside, greeted by the cheerful clatter of plates and the hum of conversation. "Morning, Nathan," called out Doris, the waitress, as she wiped her hands on her apron. "The usual?" "Yeah, thanks," he replied, sliding onto a stool at the counter. He appreciated the routine, the comfort of the familiar. As he waited for his breakfast, Nathan's thoughts draped over him like a heavy blanket, pulling him back to the campsite. The flickering memory of the shoebox and the maps stirred something in him, a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. "Got something on your mind, hon?" Doris asked, noticing his distant gaze. "Just some old memories," he replied, forcing a smile. He didn't want to burden her with the weight of a mystery that felt too heavy to share. As he sipped his coffee, he listened to the conversations around him, locals discussing fishing spots, families planning summer hikes, and children laughing as they ran in and out. The town felt alive, but beneath the surface, Nathan sensed an undercurrent of unease. The disappearance of Tommy Hayes had left scars that seemed to still ache, and even after all these years, the pain lingered in the community like an unhealed wound. After finishing his meal, Nathan stepped back into the warm sunlight, his mind racing with thoughts. He made his way to the visitor center, where the walls were adorned with photographs of the town's history, pictures of families smiling on camping trips, children playing in the snow, and the ever-present backdrop of the majestic Teton Mountains. But there was one photograph that always seemed to draw him in, a group of search volunteers from the summer of Tommy's disappearance. Nathan's face was there among the others, youthful and filled with determination, though now it felt like a lifetime ago. "Hey, Nathan!" a voice called out, breaking his reverie. It was Sheriff Tom Rivers, a man whose presence commanded respect, but whose face bore the burden of too many sad stories. "You look like you've seen a ghost. Everything all right?" "Just thinking about the past," Nathan said, trying to keep his tone light. "You remember Tommy Hayes?" "Who doesn't?" Rivers replied, shaking his head. "The whole town came together to search for him. It was a painful time for all of us." Nathan nodded, feeling the familiar ache of loss. "I found something at the old campsite, a shoebox with some maps and sketches. One of them had Tommy's name on it." The sheriff's brow furrowed, concern etched across his features. "What do you mean? You think it's related to the case?" "I don't know," Nathan admitted, his fingers tightening around the map in his pocket. "But it felt significant. I'm not sure if I should say something or just let it be." "Sometimes it's best to let sleeping dogs lie," Rivers said cautiously. "But if you think it could help—" "I'll take a look," Nathan interrupted, determination igniting within him. "He deserves to be found. We all do." After their conversation, Nathan spent the next few days poring over the maps in the solitude of his small cabin, the flickering light of a lamp illuminating the details. Each trail marked on the paper felt like a thread connecting him to Tommy's lost story. The sketches revealed vivid landscapes he recognized, but also areas that were uncharted, places that seemed to call to him like whispers on the wind. One evening, Nathan decided to venture out again, retracing the paths that Tommy might have walked. He packed a small backpack, water, snacks, a flashlight, and set out as the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a tapestry of stars overhead. The cool mountain air filled his lungs, and he felt a sense of purpose guiding him. Each step resonated with the weight of history, but also the hope of discovery. As night fully enveloped the forest, the sounds of the wilderness surrounded him. The rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, and the soft crunch of his boots on the trail. It felt familiar, yet strange, as if he were intermingling with ghosts of the past. Nathan followed the map's lines, navigating with a sense of reverence as if he were treading on sacred ground. He reached a clearing where the trees opened up to reveal a view of the mountains bathed in moonlight. Sitting on a fallen log, he spread out the map before him, tracing the lines with his fingers. "What happened to you, Tommy?" he whispered to the night. "Where did you go?" Suddenly, the wind picked up, and a chill ran through him, causing him to shiver. The atmosphere shifted as if the forest was alive with secrets waiting to be uncovered. For a moment, Nathan felt a connection, a thread stretching across time and space, binding him to a boy who had disappeared, leaving behind unanswered questions. He closed his eyes, letting the stillness wash over him, and in that moment, he could almost feel the echoes of laughter, the joy of summer days, the camaraderie of friends. But then the laughter faded, replaced by a profound silence that weighed heavily in the air. Nathan felt the burden of the past pressing down on him, the choices he had to make looming ahead. The next day, he returned to the diner, his heart heavy with the knowledge he carried. As he entered, he noticed the small group of locals gathered in a corner booth, their voices hushed as they exchanged glances. Nathan's presence seemed to stir a wave of unease, and he tried to shake off the feeling. "Everything all right?" Doris asked, her concern evident. "Just some old memories," he replied, forcing a smile. But the truth was, those memories felt alive, and the weight of Tommy's disappearance haunted him. After breakfast, he decided to approach the local library, hoping to find more information about Tommy's case. The librarian, a kind woman named Miss Clara, greeted him with a warm smile. "Nathan, what brings you in today?" "I'm looking for anything related to Tommy Hayes." "Any articles, old news clippings, anything you might have," he said. his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Miss Clara nodded, leading him to a section of the library dedicated to local history. We might have some archives from that summer. It was a difficult time for the community. As Nathan sifted through the yellowed pages, he uncovered articles detailing the search efforts, the emotional pleas from Tommy's parents, and the heartbreak of unanswered questions. Each sentence cut deeper, revealing the pain that still lingered in the hearts of those who had hoped for a different ending. But then, hidden within a stack of papers, Nathan found something unexpected, a hand-drawn map, much like the one he had found in the shoebox. It depicted trails that led deep into the wilderness, with notes scribbled in the margins. "Follow the stream," one line read. "Look for the old cabin." His heart raced as he examined the map. It felt like a breadcrumb, a clue left behind by someone who had been searching for Tommy, or perhaps someone who had known him. "Miss Clara," he called, excitement bubbling within him. "Do you know who might have drawn this?" She leaned closer, squinting at the map. "That looks familiar. I believe it belonged to a group of searchers from the town. They spent days in the woods looking for Tommy. I can check the records to see if we have more information on them." Nathan nodded, feeling a sense of urgency. He needed to know more to understand the connections between the past and the present. "Thank you," he said, his mind racing with possibilities. As he left the library, Nathan felt an electric charge in the air, a sense of purpose guiding him forward. The flicker of hope he had felt before now burned brightly, illuminating the path ahead. He was determined to uncover the truth, to follow the trails marked not just by time, but by the lingering memories of a lost boy. Days turned into weeks, and Nathan immersed himself in the search. He retraced the trails marked on the map, following the stream as it wound deeper into the wilderness. The Teton Mountains loomed above him, majestic and imposing, a constant reminder of the beauty and danger that coexisted in the wild. Each day brought new revelations, old artifacts, forgotten landmarks, and the echoes of laughter that seemed to linger in the air. He met locals who had been a part of the search, their faces etched with lines of sorrow and resilience. They shared stories, each one a thread in the tapestry of Tommy's life, and Nathan listened intently, feeling the weight of their memories. Among those he spoke with was an elderly man named Harold, who had been one of the first volunteers in the search. "We all thought we'd find him," Harold said, his voice gravelly with age. "Tommy was a bright kid, always full of life. Losing him, it felt like a part of our town died. We never really recovered from it." Nathan nodded, struck by the depth of Harold's pain. "I found some maps that seemed to be connected to the search. Did you ever see them?" Harold's eyes narrowed as he considered Nathan's words. There were a lot of maps, but one stood out. There was a rumor about an old cabin near the stream, a place where some of us thought he might have gone. The mention of the cabin sent shivers down Nathan's spine. The notes from the hand-drawn map he'd discovered echoed in his mind. He leaned in closer. "You think there's still a chance? That he could be out there?" Harold sighed, looking away as if searching for something long gone. "Hope is a dangerous thing, son. It can keep you going, but it can also break you. But if you plan to go looking, you'd better be prepared for what you might find." Nathan's resolve wavered for a moment. The weight of history and the possibility of reopening old wounds pressed heavily upon him. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that Tommy's story deserved to be told, that the boy's spirit was still tethered to these woods. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the landscape, Nathan returned to the clearing where he had first spread out the map. The flicker of hope still alive within him felt like a guide. He gathered his thoughts and decided that he would venture out once more, this time with the old cabin as his destination. With the hand-drawn map in his pocket, Nathan spent that night preparing for the journey ahead. He packed extra supplies, a first aid kit, more water, and some trail mix, determined to leave no stone unturned. A restless energy coursed through him, and as he lay in bed he couldn't help but replay the conversations he had had with the locals. Each word resonated, nudging him closer to an inevitable confrontation with the past. The next morning dawned bright and clear. the sun slowly rising over the mountains. After a hasty breakfast, Nathan set out, following the stream that wound its way through the woods. The sound of rushing water and the scent of damp earth filled the air, heightening his senses as he trekked deeper into the forest. The trail grew narrower as he ventured further, but Nathan pressed on, determination fueling his steps. The trees seemed to watch him, tall and ancient, as if they held the secrets of the land. Time passed, and Nathan found himself lost in thought, the rhythmic sound of his footsteps creating a meditative cadence. Then, as he rounded a bend, he spotted a structure up ahead, a cabin old and weathered nestled among the trees. His heart raced as he approached, the memories of joy and sorrow intertwining in his mind. This was the place where hope had flickered, where the search for Tommy had once burned bright. Standing before the cabin, Nathan felt a wave of emotion wash over him. The wooden walls were rough and splintered, but it was the remnants of life that caught his attention. An old swing hanging from a tree, the rusted remains of a bicycle, and a makeshift fire pit. This had been a place of laughter, of childhood dreams and adventures. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside. The door creaked ominously as he pushed it open, revealing a dim interior filled with shadows. Dust motes danced in the beams of sunlight that filtered through cracks in the walls. The air felt thick with memories, and Nathan couldn't help but wonder how many stories had unfolded within these walls. He began to search, moving carefully through the small space. Old furniture lay abandoned, covered in layers of dust, as if waiting for someone to return. Nathan's heart raced as his eyes landed on a small box tucked away in the corner. He knelt down, brushing off the dust, and opened it. Inside were faded photographs, children laughing, a family camping trip, faces familiar yet distant. But what caught his eye was a photograph of Tommy, beaming with joy as he stood beside a gang of friends. Nathan felt the weight of it, the reminder of a boy so full of life, now gone but not forgotten. His heart pounded in his chest, and as he stared at the photograph, he felt a surge of emotion, a mixture of loss and determination. "Where are you, Tommy?" he whispered, feeling the pulse of the past swell within him. "What happened to you?" The flicker of hope ignited again, burning brighter than before. Nathan spent hours scouring every corner of the cabin, searching for clues that might lead him closer to the truth. He found an old journal, its pages yellowed and crumbling, filled with the musings of a young boy. The entries spoke of adventures, dreams, and the innocence of childhood. They painted a picture of a boy who loved the outdoors, who sought adventure in every tree and stream. As he read, Nathan felt the weight of the past coalesce around him, the boundaries between then and now blurring. It was as if Tommy's spirit lingered in the words, urging him to keep searching, to embrace the journey ahead. But with each new revelation came the growing realization that digging deeper might uncover more than he had bargained for. The question of whether he should continue to seek answers or let the past remain buried loomed over him like a shadow. Yet deep down, he knew that the journey wasn't just about Tommy. It was about healing the wounds that had marred the community, about bringing closure to a chapter that had been left open for far too long. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light over the cabin, Nathan made a decision. He would follow the trails once more, armed with the knowledge he had gathered. He would reach out to the families, to the locals who had once searched for Tommy and share what he had found. Perhaps the truth would help them heal, and perhaps, in some small way, it would help him heal too. With renewed determination, Nathan stepped outside, the cool mountain air filling his lungs, feeling invigorated by the promise of discovery. The flicker of hope had transformed into a flame, and as he walked away from the cabin, he felt the weight of history on his shoulders, but also the lightness of purpose leading him forward. The early morning light seeped through the curtains of Nathan Frost's small cabin, casting soft shadows on the walls. He awoke with a sense of urgency, fueled by the discoveries he had made at the cabin the day before, the photographs of Tommy Hayes and the letters from his sister, Sarah. Each fragment felt like a breadcrumb leading him deeper into the mystery of the boy's disappearance. Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that the answers he sought were just beyond his grasp. After a quick breakfast, he grabbed the journal and the hand-drawn map, ready to venture back into the wilderness. This time he would follow the leads with determination to honor Tommy and bring closure to the family still haunted by his absence. The sun hung low in the sky as Nathan parked his truck along the winding road that led to the streams and trails he had grown to know so well. As he stepped onto the familiar path, the sounds of nature enveloped him. The rustling leaves, the distant call of a hawk, and the soothing rush of water created a symphony of tranquility that contrasted with the turmoil in his heart. Each step echoed memories of his youth spent hiking these trails, a time filled with joy and freedom. But now the weight of the past loomed heavier than ever. The hand-drawn map led him to a junction where the stream branched off. To the left, the trail wound toward a collection of boulders, while to the right led deeper into the woods. Nathan felt a strange pull toward the right, toward the unknown. He followed the path, his heart racing with anticipation. As he walked, memories of Tommy's laughter echoed in his mind. He could almost hear the boy's excitement as he explored the wilderness, a spirit unbroken by life's burdens. Nathan felt a kinship with Tommy, their lives intertwined by threads of loss and longing. It was a connection that pushed him forward, deeper into the forest. The trail grew narrower, the trees thickening around him. Nathan's senses heightened. He felt alive in a way he hadn't in years. Each rustle in the underbrush made him hyper-aware, almost as if the forest were alive with secrets waiting to be uncovered. He could see sunlight filtering through the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the ground, and for a moment he felt hope rise within him. As he rounded a bend, he stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center stood an old weathered cabin, similar to the one he had found before, but more secluded. Its wooden frame sagged under the weight of time, yet it held an air of mystery, as if it had witnessed countless stories unfold within its walls. Nathan approached cautiously, his heart pounding. He glanced around, taking in remnants of the past, an old tire swing, rusted tools, and a fire pit overgrown with weeds. This place felt different, charged with emotion. He stepped inside, the door creaking ominously as he pushed it open. The interior was dim, filled with shadows that danced as light streamed through cracks in the walls. Dust motes floated in the air, swirling like tiny spirits waiting to share their tales. As he scanned the room, his eyes landed on a corner shelf filled with dusty books and a small wooden box. Nathan felt drawn to it, compelled to uncover its secrets. He carefully opened the box, revealing a collection of letters tied with a frayed ribbon. Each letter was penned in a delicate hand, filled with the hopes and dreams of a young girl named Sarah, Tommy's sister. Nathan's heart raced as he read the words, filled with love and longing as she wrote to her brother, sharing her adventures and wishing for his safe return. The letters spoke of the vibrant life they had shared and the bond that had been severed too soon. One letter stood out, its ink smudged as if written in haste. "Tommy, I know you're out there. Please come home. I found a secret place by the old cabin. I hope you find it too." Nathan's breath caught in his throat. Could this secret place hold the key to Tommy's fate? The flicker of hope surged within him. He knew he had to find that location, to follow the trail Sarah had left behind. He quickly folded the letters and placed them back in the box, resolving to return them to Sarah's family. But first, he needed to find the secret place. With renewed determination, he exited the cabin, the letters burning in his pocket like a torch illuminating the path ahead. Back on the trail, Nathan's mind raced. He retraced the steps in his mind, recalling the terrain around the old cabin where the letters had mentioned finding the secret spot. He pressed on, the woods closing in around him as he navigated the familiar yet foreign landscape. Every rustle of leaves felt as if it were guiding him towards something important. Suddenly he spotted a faint trail veering off to the right. It was overgrown, almost forgotten, and Nathan felt a magnetic pull to follow it. He stepped off the main path, pushing aside branches and weeds as he made his way deeper into the unknown. The trail twisted and turned, leading him down a gentle slope. The air grew cooler as he descended, and the sound of rushing water grew louder. He could feel he was getting closer to the secret place Sarah had written about. After a few moments, he emerged into a clearing by the stream. The sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a golden glow on the water as it tumbled over smooth stones. But what captured Nathan's attention was a small cave opening nestled against the rocky bank, partially hidden by vines and foliage. This had to be it, the secret place where Tommy might have gone. Nathan approached cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest. He knelt down, peering into the darkness of the cave. It was deep, the shadows enveloping him as he shone his flashlight inside, illuminating the rocky walls. As he stepped inside, the air grew cooler, and the sound of the water faded into a soft echo. The cave felt ancient, a hidden world untouched for years. Nathan's mind raced with possibilities. What if Tommy had found this place? What if he had taken shelter here, seeking refuge from the world outside? He ventured deeper, carefully navigating the uneven ground, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. As he rounded a corner, the tunnel opened into a larger chamber and Nathan gasped at the sight. The walls were adorned with symbols carved into the rock, ancient markings that spoke of stories long forgotten. He felt a profound connection to this place, a sense that he was standing on sacred ground. It was here that the boundaries of time seemed to blur, and Nathan felt as if he were stepping into the memories of those who had come before him. But then his gaze fell upon something else, a small pile of stones arranged in a circle. In the center lay a weathered backpack, its fabric faded and worn. Nathan's heart dropped. Could it belong to Tommy? He rushed forward, kneeling beside the pack, trembling as he unzipped it. Inside were remnants of a boy's life, snacks, long past expiration dates, a flashlight, and a small journal filled with sketches of the forest and its creatures. Nathan's breath caught as he flipped through the pages, feeling the weight of Tommy's spirit in each stroke of the pencil. When he turned to the last page, his heart sank. The final entry was hastily written, the words jagged and raw. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I thought I could find the way home. I'm scared." Tears welled in Nathan's eyes as the reality of Tommy's last moments washed over him. The boy had felt lost, perhaps trapped. Nathan felt a deep ache in his chest, a mixture of sorrow and empathy for a child seeking the light in his darkest hour. He closed the journal, overwhelmed by the weight of the discovery. It was a painful reminder of the fragility of life and the bonds that tie us to one another. Nathan knew he couldn't keep this to himself. He had to share Tommy's story, to honor the boy who had become a ghost in the woods. With the backpack slung over his shoulder, Nathan made his way back through the cave and outside into the sunlight. The sweet scent of pine filled the air, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose as he navigated the forest. The path back felt different, charged with the energy of discovery. The woods, once a backdrop of mystery and sadness, now felt alive with the promise of connection and healing. He moved with determination, ready to face the ghosts of the past and bring light to the darkness that had lingered too long. Arriving in Jackson Hole, Nathan drove toward the community center, where families often gathered. He parked outside, taking a deep breath to steady himself. This was not just about sharing a story. It was about reopening wounds that had long been festering. Inside, the center buzzed with activity. Local citizens chatted, children laughed, and the aroma of homemade pastries filled the air. Nathan spotted several familiar faces among the crowd, neighbors and friends who had once joined the search for Tommy. "Hey, Nathan!" called out his friend Mark, who approached with a warm smile. "What's been going on?" "Hey, Mark," Nathan replied. "I found something important about Tommy Hayes." Mark's expression shifted from casual to concerned. "What do you mean?" Nathan hesitated, weighing his words carefully. "I found his backpack and journal. I think it might help us understand what happened to him." At the mention of Tommy's name, the atmosphere shifted. Faces turned toward him, and he felt the weight of their gazes. Taking a deep breath, Nathan began to recount his findings, the letters, the journal, and the boy who had touched his life in ways he never imagined. As he spoke, the crowd listened intently. Some wept quietly, while others exchanged glances filled with understanding. Nathan felt the air thicken with shared pain, but also a flicker of hope that perhaps this would lead to closure. When he finished, a hush fell over the room. Finally, Sarah's mother stepped forward, her face a blend of gratitude and sorrow. "Thank you for bringing this to us, Nathan. It's not easy to hear, but it's important. Tommy deserves to have his story told." Nathan nodded, feeling a swell of emotion. "I couldn't keep it to myself. I thought of you all and the pain you've carried for too long. I hope this helps." As the crowd began to share their memories of Tommy, laughter mingled with tears, creating a bittersweet melody that reverberated through the room. Nathan listened, feeling the connection grow stronger with each story shared. People began discussing how they could come together to honor Tommy's memory. Whispers of planting a memorial tree near the stream emerged, a living testament to the boy's spirit. Nathan felt a sense of relief, knowing they were transforming their pain into something beautiful. Before leaving, Nathan knew he had to return the letters and journal to Sarah's family. He approached Sarah's mother, surrounded by family, her eyes glistening with tears. "I want you to have this," he said, handing her the box containing the letters. "These are for you and Sarah. She deserves to know her words were found and cherished." With trembling hands, she accepted the box, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you, Nathan. You've given us a piece of her back." As Nathan left the community center, he felt lighter. The town felt different. The air had cleared, and the weight of sorrow was beginning to lift. There was still work to be done, but for the first time in years, he sensed a glimmer of hope. Driving home that evening, Nathan reflected on the journey that had brought him here. He had gone into the woods seeking answers, but what he had found was a community ready to heal, a family eager to remember, and a boy whose spirit would live on in the stories shared. The next days were a whirlwind of planning. Nathan became a part of the effort to organize the memorial. The community rallied, sharing stories and gathering resources to create a space where people could come to remember Tommy and find solace in their shared grief. It was humbling to watch the town come together to heal the wounds that had festered for too long. On the day of the memorial, Nathan arrived at the site by the stream, where a sturdy young tree had been planted. Families gathered around, sharing memories and laughter, their joy a stark contrast to the sorrow that once filled this place. As the sun shone brightly overhead, Nathan stepped forward to speak. He shared the story of his discovery, the letters, the journal, and the boy who had touched his life. He spoke of the importance of remembering those we've lost and the connections that bind us as a community. "There's a saying that we're not truly gone as long as we're remembered," Nathan said, his voice steady. "Tommy Hayes is still with us, in our hearts and in our stories. Let us honor him today, and let us continue to share his laughter, his spirit, and his love." The crowd listened closely, their faces a mix of sorrow and gratitude. After the speeches, they gathered around the young tree, placing their hands on its trunk and whispering their hopes and memories. Nathan felt a wave of emotion wash over him as he joined them, feeling the warmth of shared grief and remembrance. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, the gathering transformed into a celebration of life. Families shared food, laughter, and stories, creating a tapestry of memories intertwined with the spirit of the boy they had lost. Nathan felt a sense of belonging, surrounded by those who had faced their pain and chosen to honor it with love. As the evening wore on, Nathan stood by the tree reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. He had uncovered the truth about Tommy Hayes, but more importantly, he had helped a community find its voice, a way to heal the wounds that had scarred them for too long. And in that moment, as the stars began to twinkle overhead, Nathan felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, one that promised growth, healing, and a future where memories coexist with love. Tommy's spirit would forever be intertwined with the lives of those who had loved him, a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is light to be found. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across Jackson Hole, Nathan Frost stood by the young memorial tree, surrounded by friends and family who had come together to honor Tommy Hayes. The air was thick with emotion, a mix of sorrow and hope, as stories flowed freely, illuminating the boy's spirit that had touched so many lives. Nathan watched as parents hugged their children a little tighter, and friends exchanged knowing glances, the shared grief forging a bond that would not easily break. The tree, a symbol of new beginnings, stood at the edge of the stream, its branches gently swaying in the evening breeze. Nathan couldn't help but feel a sense of peace wash over him. He had come to this place searching for answers, and what he had found was a community ready to embrace their pain and transform it into something beautiful. As the gathering began to wind down, Nathan noticed Sarah's mother standing apart from the crowd, her expression contemplative as she gazed at the tree. He felt a tug in his heart, knowing she carried the weight of both loss and love. Gathering his courage, he approached her. "Sarah is going to need these," he said softly, pulling the box of letters from his backpack. "I thought you might want to read them together." Her eyes widened, glistening with unshed tears. "Thank you, Nathan. I can't express how much this means to us. I want her to know her brother is still with us, that he will always be with us." Nathan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Tommy's story deserves to be told, and I believe it can help her heal." Just then, a small voice broke through the moment. "Mr. Frost!" It was a girl he recognized as one of Tommy's friends. Her face was smeared with dirt, and her hair was messily tied in a ponytail, but her bright eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Can we go to the cave? The one where you found Tommy's stuff?" Nathan glanced at Sarah's mother, who smiled softly, encouraging him. He knelt down to meet the girl's gaze. "You want to see the cave?" "Yes, I heard it's a secret place." He chuckled, remembering the spirit of adventure that comes with childhood. "It is a secret place. I'll tell you what, I'll take you and a few friends there tomorrow. But remember, we have to treat it with respect, just like we do here." The girl beamed, her excitement infectious. "Awesome! I'll bring my friends." As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the valley, Nathan felt a wave of purpose wash over him. The cave, once a symbol of loss, was now a bridge connecting the past to the future. It would become a place of remembrance, not just for Tommy, but for all their stories intertwined. The following day, Nathan met the group of children at the park near the stream. They were a mix of Tommy's old friends and new faces, all bubbling with energy. He led them along the familiar path, their laughter echoing through the trees. They questioned him about the cave, their imaginations running wild with possibilities. "Did you see ghosts?" one boy asked, wide-eyed. Nathan chuckled. "No ghosts, just memories. But the cave is a special place where stories are kept." As they reached the cave, he paused, feeling the weight of history around them. "Remember, this is a place for Tommy's memory. We have to be quiet and respectful." The children nodded solemnly, their excitement turning into a reverent hush as they stepped inside. The cave opened up, revealing the ancient markings on the walls. Nathan watched as their eyes widened, taking in the artistry etched into the rock. "Wow! Did Tommy make these drawings?" asked Sarah's friend, pointing at a sketch of a bear. "No, these are older than Tommy. They tell stories from long ago, just like Tommy's story is being told now." He knelt down, pointing to the backpack he had found, resting against the wall. This belonged to Tommy. He was here and he wanted to find his way back home. The children were quiet, absorbing the significance of the moment. Nathan then pulled out the journal, flipping to the pages filled with sketches. "These are Tommy's drawings," he explained. "He loved this place. He spent hours exploring, just as you all do." One girl reached out, tracing her fingers over the pages. "Can we draw our own stories here?" "Absolutely," Nathan replied. "Today we're going to create our own memories, just like Tommy did. This cave can be a place for all our adventures." The children brightened, digging into their backpacks for crayons and paper. Nathan watched as they began to sketch, their laughter echoing off the cave walls. Each stroke of the crayon became a celebration of life, a testament to the love that remained in the hearts of those who remembered Tommy. As the afternoon wore on, Nathan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The cave, once a symbol of loss, was transforming into a sanctuary of memories. He shared stories about Tommy with the kids, recounting his adventurous spirit and the joy he found in nature. Later, they sat in a circle, each child sharing their drawings and the stories behind them. Laughter filled the air as they painted pictures of their own adventures and dreams. Nathan felt a warmth in his heart, knowing that they were weaving their tales into the tapestry of the cave, creating a legacy that would endure. As the sun began to set, casting golden light through the cave's entrance, Nathan gathered the children. "Before we leave, let's make a promise," he said. "Let's promise to remember Tommy and continue to explore and cherish the world around us. Let's promise to share our stories and keep this place alive in our hearts." The children nodded, a chorus of agreement filling the cave. They all placed their hands together in the center, a pact formed in the sacred space. "Friends forever!" one child shouted. "Friends forever!" they echoed, their voices ringing with sincerity and hope. As they emerged from the cave, Nathan felt a sense of closure not just for himself, but for the community. Tommy's spirit was being honored in the laughter of children, in the stories shared, and in the connections made. The cave had become a living testament to the past, a vibrant reminder that while loss is painful, love and memory can thrive. That evening, Nathan returned home, his heart buoyed by the day's events. He reflected on the transformation of the cave, the way it had shifted from a place of sorrow to one of joy and connection. He knew that Tommy's story would continue to live on, not only through the memorial tree but in the hearts of those who loved him. As he sat on his porch under the stars, Nathan thought about the impact of their shared memories, the way each story added depth to the tapestry of life. He felt grateful for the connections he had forged, the healing that had begun, and the promise of new adventures. The following weeks would be filled with more gatherings, more stories, and more laughter. The community embraced the memorial space near the stream, holding regular events that celebrated life and remembered Tommy. Families brought picnics, children played games, and Nathan often found himself sharing stories about the boy who had brought them together. With each passing day, the weight of the past grew lighter. Nathan found solace in the connections he had fostered, the friendships he had rekindled, and the sense of purpose that came with honoring a life lost. The flicker of hope that had ignited within him now burned brightly, lighting the way for others to find their paths. On a warm afternoon, Nathan found himself back at the cave, taking a moment to reflect. As he entered, he felt a sense of peace envelop him. The markings on the walls seemed to whisper their stories, welcoming him into the world of memories. He knelt down, tracing the drawings with his fingers, feeling the history beneath his touch. In that moment, he understood that Tommy's spirit was not just confined to this place. It lived on in each heart that chose to remember, in each story that continued to be shared. With a smile, Nathan took out his own journal, a fresh page awaiting his thoughts. He began to write, documenting everything that had transpired, the journey of discovery, the pain of loss, and the beauty of connection. It was a story worth telling, one that would keep Tommy's memory alive for generations to come. As he penned the final words, he felt a surge of gratitude. The flicker of hope had transformed into a flame, illuminating paths for those who sought to remember, to heal, and to embrace life. Nathan knew that while the past could not be changed, the future was still unwritten, a canvas waiting for new stories to unfold, for laughter to echo in the woods, and for love to transcend time. As the weeks flowed into months, Tommy's Day became a cherished tradition in Jackson Hole, and each year it seemed to grow in significance. The community rallied around the memorial tree, now adorned with handmade ornaments and painted stones, each one a testament to the lives touched by Tommy Hayes. Nathan Frost found himself even more integrated into the town, his role evolving into something akin to a guardian of memories, a storyteller who helped keep Tommy's spirit alive. The following year, as the first signs of autumn appeared, the town began preparing for another Tommy's Day celebration. Nathan felt the familiar flutter of excitement as the crisp air filled with the scent of pine and earth, a reminder of the time spent exploring these woods, where Tommy had roamed with unbridled joy. This year, the planning committee had decided to expand the activities, introducing a Tommy Adventure Challenge, a series of outdoor tasks inspired by the boys' own love for the wilderness. Families teamed up to navigate through the woods, solve riddles related to nature, and partake in scavenger hunts. On the day of the event, the excitement was palpable. Children dashed around, their laughter ringing through the crisp air as families set up picnic blankets beneath the memorial tree. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow and creating an inviting atmosphere perfect for the celebration. As Nathan mingled, he noticed how the community had transformed. The pain of loss, while still present, had evolved into a collective strength. People shared stories more openly now, recounting their memories of Tommy and how his spirit inspired them to cherish every moment. "Mr. Frost," a familiar voice called out. It was Sarah, her face alight with anticipation. She had grown taller since last year, her confidence blooming. "Are you ready for the adventure challenge?" "Absolutely," he replied, bending down to her level. "Are you going to be my partner this year?" Sarah grinned, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I've been practicing," Nathan laughed, impressed by her determination. "Then let's show everyone what we can do." As the event kicked off, families gathered in front of a large hand-painted sign that read, "Tommy Adventure Challenge." Nathan took a moment to address the crowd, his heart swelling with pride as he looked at the familiar faces of the townsfolk. "Today we honor Tommy's adventurous spirit," he said, his voice steady and warm. "Let's embrace his love for exploration and friendship. Remember, it's not just about winning, it's about creating memories together." The crowd cheered, and Nathan felt the warmth of community envelop him. The first challenge involved a nature scavenger hunt, where teams would seek specific leaves, rocks, and other treasures hidden along the trail. As he and Sarah dashed off, Nathan felt a thrill of nostalgia wash over him, reminding him of his own childhood adventures in these very woods. The pair raced ahead, their laughter echoing as they collected items, each one representing a piece of the world around them. They discovered a vibrant red maple leaf, a shiny acorn, and the unique contours of a smooth river stone. It was invigorating to see how the children engaged with nature, their curiosity sparking joy. As they returned to the starting point, their hands full of treasures, Nathan noticed Sarah's face light up with excitement. "Look what we found!" she exclaimed, holding up her acorn like a trophy. "Great job, team," Nathan praised, his heart swelling with pride. They joined the rest of the families, sharing their findings and hearing stories about each item. The camaraderie felt electric, a reminder of how much joy can come from the simplest of connections. After the scavenger hunt, the next challenge was a guided adventure through a nearby trail. Nathan led the group along a winding path, teaching them about the different plants and animals they encountered. He shared his own stories, infusing the history of the land with tales of Tommy's adventures and how they intertwined with the stories of those who lived here. "Did you know that bears love to eat berries?" he asked, gesturing toward a nearby bush. "And if we're lucky, we might even spot a bald eagle soaring overhead." The children's eyes widened with awe as they listened, and Nathan felt a rush of gratitude for the opportunity to pass on this knowledge. The connection to nature was more than just about exploration. It was a way to honor Tommy's spirit and keep his love for the outdoors alive. As they reached the end of the trail, they gathered for a brief break at a scenic overlook, the valley sprawling before them, painted in hues of gold and orange. Nathan took a moment to capture the scene, pulling out his camera to snap a photo. He thought about how this place had become a sanctuary, a space filled with laughter and love. "Let's take a picture together," he suggested, positioning the children in front of him. They smiled brightly, their faces glowing with excitement, and he captured the moment, a snapshot of joy that would echo the spirit of Tommy for years to come. As the day progressed, activities continued, from tug-of-war to relay races, each event brimming with laughter and friendly competition. Nathan felt the energy of the day surge through him, knowing that each smile, each laugh, was a tribute to Tommy's adventurous spirit. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the festivities, Nathan gathered the families for the closing ceremony. The memory wall was unveiled again, this time adorned with even more drawings and messages from the children. It had become a living testament to not just Tommy's life, but to the love and connection that had blossomed within the community. "We've created something beautiful today," Nathan addressed the crowd, his heart filled with warmth. "Tommy's spirit lives on in each of you. in every smile and every story shared. Let us promise to continue exploring, to continue laughing, and to always remember the joy he brought to our lives." The crowd erupted in applause, cheers filling the air as families embraced, sharing their love and support. Nathan felt a swell of hope, knowing that Tommy's spirit was not just a memory, but a catalyst for growth and connection. As dusk fell, lanterns flickered to life, illuminating the area with a warm glow. Families settled down for a picnic under the stars, sharing food, stories, and laughter. Nathan joined in, feeling a sense of belonging that filled his heart with joy. As the night deepened, Nathan found himself sitting with Sarah and a few other children, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the lanterns. They were sprawled on blankets, sharing tales of their own adventures, hopes, and dreams. "Mr. Frost," Sarah said, her voice thoughtful, "do you think Tommy would have liked all this?" Nathan smiled, feeling a tear prick at the corner of his eye. "I know he would have loved it. He'd be right here with you all, leading the way on every adventure. And you know what? He still is. Every time you laugh, every time you explore, you're keeping his spirit alive." That evening, as the stars twinkled above, the warmth of community filled Nathan's heart. He knew that while the past could not be changed, the future was still unwritten, a canvas waiting for new stories to unfold, for laughter to echo in the woods, and for love to transcend time. And so, with the flicker of hope guiding him, Nathan Frost embraced the promise of tomorrow, knowing that together they would continue to honor Tommy's spirit through adventure, friendship, and the stories that connected them all. As winter arrived in Jackson Hole, the landscape transformed into a picturesque scene painted with white. The mountains stood proudly against the bright blue sky, dusted with fresh snow. However, the chill in the air didn't dampen the spirits of the community. In fact, the approaching holidays brought a renewed sense of togetherness as families prepared for the festivities and reflected on the past year. Nathan Frost found himself at the community center once again, but this time, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement as families gathered to decorate for the annual winter festival. Colorful lights adorned the trees outside, and the scent of pine mixed with cinnamon wafted through the air. Nathan's heart swelled with gratitude as he watched children laughing, helping their parents hang ornaments and garlands. "Mr. Frost," a familiar voice piped up. It was Sarah, her cheeks flushed from the cold and excitement. "Are you going to help us decorate the tree?" "Of course, Sarah," he replied, kneeling down to her level. "I'd love to help. Should we put the star on top together?" "Yes, let's do it," she said, her enthusiasm infectious. As Nathan and Sarah climbed the small ladder to reach the top of the tree, he felt a wave of warmth wash over him. This was more than just decoration. It was about creating memories, embracing the spirit of the season and celebrating life together. He remembered how Tommy would have been right there, squealing in delight at the sight of their hard work. After the tree was decorated, the community center filled with families enjoying hot cocoa and cookies, sharing stories, and playing games. Nathan found himself surrounded by neighbors, each person carrying their own memories of Tommy, how he had brought joy and laughter, how his spirit continued to inspire them. "Mr. Frost, can we tell some of Tommy's stories tonight?" a boy named Jake asked, his eyes wide with anticipation. "Absolutely," Nathan said, feeling a sense of warmth as he gathered the children around. "Let's sit and share our favorite memories of him." As they settled in, Nathan began recounting tales of Tommy's wild adventures in the woods. The children listened with rapt attention, their imaginations ignited by the stories. He spoke of the time Tommy had convinced him to climb a tree to build a makeshift fort, and how they'd spent the afternoon pretending to be explorers in an uncharted land. The stories flowed like a river, each child sharing their own cherished memories. Laughter echoed through the community center, a beautiful symphony of joy that reminded them all of the bonds they had forged through love and loss. As the stories continued, Nathan felt a sense of healing wash over him. Not only was he honoring Tommy's memory, but he was also helping the community process their grief, transforming it into something beautiful. The warmth of shared memories enveloped them like a blanket, and Nathan realized that the spirit of Tommy would always be a part of their lives. The evening culminated in a surprise. A local musician had come to play holiday songs. The room filled with soft melodies as families gathered around the tree, their voices rising in harmony. Nathan watched as Sarah and her friends danced, their laughter ringing out, filling the space with joy. When the music softened, Nathan stood up to speak. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Tommy may no longer be with us, but the love he shared and the memories we created will always bind us together. Let's make a promise to keep his spirit alive by continuing to share stories, to explore, and to love one another." The room erupted in applause, and Nathan felt a wave of pride wash over him. They were honoring Tommy by embracing life, by navigating through the challenges together. The flicker of hope that had ignited within him was now a steady flame illuminating the path forward. As the evening came to a close, families began to depart, filled with a sense of joy and connection. Nathan lingered, helping clean up and reflecting on the night. The warmth of community thrived within him, and he knew that while the pain of loss would never fully fade, it was tempered by the love that surrounded them. Later that night, as he sat in his cabin, Nathan felt a sense of peace settle within him. The memories of Tommy, the stories shared, and the laughter of children echoed in his mind, creating a comforting symphony. He picked up his journal, a habit he had come to cherish, and began to write about the night, the laughter, the stories, and the promise of tomorrow. In the quiet of his cabin, he penned his thoughts, capturing the spirit of the community and the love that flowed through it. He wrote about the memories that would continue to shape their lives, the adventures that awaited them, and the importance of honoring those who had come before. As he finished writing, Nathan gazed out the window at the snow-covered landscape, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. Tommy's spirit had not only impacted his life, but had woven a thread through the entire community, binding them together in love and remembrance. With a smile, Nathan closed his journal, knowing that the journey of healing was far from over. Together they would continue to navigate the complexities of life, finding solace in shared stories and laughter, and keeping Tommy's spirit alive in their hearts. The promise of new adventures, memories yet to be made, and the enduring light of friendship shone brightly ahead, guiding them into the future. As the snow continued to blanket Jackson Hole, the community found warmth in the spirit of togetherness, especially during the holidays. Nathan Frost felt the glow of purpose radiating within him, fueled by the connections he had nurtured since Tommy's passing. He understood that while the memories of loss might linger, they had blossomed into a tapestry of love, friendship, and adventure. One crisp evening, as the town prepared for the annual holiday celebration, Nathan found himself in conversation with Sarah's mother, Melissa. They stood by the flickering lights of the community center, where families were gathering for hot cocoa and to share their holiday traditions. "Thank you for everything you've done, Nathan," Melissa said, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Tommy's day has brought so much healing to our family and the community." "It's been a team effort," Nathan replied, glancing around at the smiling faces. "I just wanted to ensure his spirit lived on through laughter, stories, and this beautiful community." Melissa nodded, her eyes glistening. "You've been a guiding light. I know Tommy would be proud." As the evening unfolded, the warmth of love and camaraderie enveloped Nathan. Families gathered around tables, crafting ornaments and writing letters to be hung on the memorial tree outside. It was a beautiful sight, a blend of creativity and connection, echoing the very essence of what they had built together. Later in the evening, Nathan stepped outside, the cool air kissing his cheeks. He stood by the memorial tree, illuminated by soft lights, reflecting on how this space had transformed. It was a sanctuary, a reminder of Tommy's adventurous spirit and a beacon of hope for everyone. Suddenly, he heard the familiar sound of footsteps behind him. Turning, he saw Sarah approaching, her face set with determination. "Mr. Frost, I have an idea." "What is it, Sarah?" he asked, intrigued. "I want to write a letter to Tommy and put it on the tree. I want him to know how much I miss him and how I'll keep exploring and having adventures for him." Nathan felt a surge of emotion at her words. "That's a wonderful idea. He would love to hear that." Sarah pulled out a piece of paper and a pen from her coat pocket. She began to write, her brow furrowed in concentration. Nathan watched her, feeling a deep sense of pride in the young girl who had grown so much since the loss of her brother. After a moment, she finished and tied the letter to the tree. "There. Now he knows," she said, stepping back to admire her work. Nathan knelt beside her, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "You've honored him beautifully, Sarah. He will always be with us, especially in our hearts and memories." As they stood together, gazing at the tree adorned with letters and memories, Nathan realized that this was the true essence of Tommy's legacy. It wasn't merely about remembering the boy who had been lost. It was about celebrating the lives they led, the stories they shared, and the spirit of exploration that Tommy had inspired in them all. The glow of the lights danced in the winter air, mirroring the warmth in Nathan's heart. He was filled with hope and joy, knowing that the community would continue to honor Tommy's memory by living fully, by cherishing every moment, and by creating new stories that would last a lifetime. As the first snowfall of the season began to fall, Nathan and Sarah stood side by side, feeling the magic of the moment. They looked forward to the adventures yet to come, knowing that Tommy's spirit would always guide them, lighting the way toward new beginnings, laughter, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship.